Come on out of there, Cleo. Oh man, check out how beautiful she is looking after just shedding her skin. So if you're new to the channel, this is Cleo, my biggest snake. She is a red-tailed boa constrictor imperator. And today I wanted to show her off because she just finished shedding, and I've got the entire complete shed right here. Yeah, ain't that crazy? That's you, Cleo. Oh, that's my face. All right, we'll roll with this, whatever. But anyway, you can see it was a full shed. Check that out. There's the imprint of her face. You can see one of her eyes, the other eye kind of right over there, and the snout going all the way back to her tail. But anyway, because she's looking so great, and because that was such a successful shed, I wanted to pull her out today so you could get a chance to not just see her in a short, but see how she is looking right after shedding and how much of those colors are there. So I'll get some more shots of her in this video later, but she isn't my only snake that's shed. I just came back from a weekend trip to find out that Cleo and my Western Diamondback rattlesnake Bojangles both shed. So if seeing how I safely retrieve shed skin from my venomous snake sounds interesting to you, then make sure to hit the like button and stay tuned. I guess I was kind of waiting for the intro music to kick in, but I got rid of that a few videos back, and nobody seems to miss it. But let me know down in the comments if you missed the intro sequence. So I guess it means you're all still here, so I'll just get right into putting Cleo back home before she wraps around my neck. Ain't that right? Right, gotta turn her around. Show her where her enclosure is. And there she goes on home. Oh, but first, got some stinky snake poop to get out of there. Hey, Cleo. Oh yeah, look at that. Now that she's in the better lighting, you can really see just how beautiful she is right after shedding and how vibrant the red is in their namesake red tail. I'll let her go back home so I don't need to worry about what she's doing while I'm dealing with the rattlesnake in a minute. Oh, that's that snake poop I want to get out of there. You're not being fed right now. You can see she's ready for a meal. And I'm just kind of tapping her on the back, letting her know that's not what's going on just yet. A lot of bites happen when snakes get confused, so doing things that make it seem like it's not feeding time, like taking her out, holding her, tapping her on the back, those are all ways of me letting her know, hey, I'm in your space right now, I'm sorry, but I'm not here to feed you. And that helps avoid any miscommunications where she thinks I'm feeding her and might have the chance to misinterpret my hand as a meal. So thank you for not biting me today, but that would have been the lowest stakes bite, so let's get on to the other two snakes. But first, I've noticed that another one of my reptiles that you know and love is out and alert and is keeping a close eye on what I'm doing. There she is now, right back there. But that is Elle, my red tegu. And I did make her some breakfast to enjoy while I'm working on all the other critters, because if I'm in here doing stuff with the snakes, she's very alert. She notices I'm in here and she'll start scratching at the glass either to come out or because she wants to be fed. And so we don't have to hear that scratching while I'm trying to show you the rattlesnakes today. I'm gonna just go ahead and get ahead of it and give her a little bit of tegu slop here, and we'll see what she thinks of it. Hey Elle, how you doing? Look how smart she is. She knows that's where the door opens, but she hasn't looked over yet. She was watching where she's used to getting out. There she is. There's the food. Oh. Trying to not get my camera stuck in there with her. There you go. Oh, going for some of the apple first. This is one of my lazier meals for her. I just got back from being out of town this weekend, and we haven't done any grocery shopping yet. Normally I like to mix a lot of fresh greens in there and use fresh meat that I get from the refrigerated section. But our house is empty right now, so blueberries, apple, and cat food it is. I think the most important thing with feeding tegus is just making sure they get a wide variety of food. So even though this is not a meal I'm super proud of, this is a perfectly fine meal to include with your tegus overall diet plan. But anyway, that should keep her busy and possibly a little quieter while I'm working with the rattlesnakes today, so I will leave her to her meal. So with Elle enjoying her meal down there, I'm going to get into retrieving that shed skin from my albino Western Diamondback, just as I promised. So my juvenile albino Western Diamondback over here is named Bojangles, and he is curled up right in this corner. And you can see he is awake and alert It's always kind of funny with snakes. You don't know for sure if they're sleeping because they don't have eyelids that close to let you know. But when that tongue's flicking out and like you just saw his head twitch, that is a dead giveaway that he is alert of the situation that's going on right now, even if he's not moving all that much. So I'll get the lock off of his enclosure over here. Place that right up there. I like hanging this off the top so I see it and gets my attention, and there's no chance of me ever not leaving that lock on. Unlatch that. Come all the way back here. Gonna pop this open. You can see he is being alert. Oh, we're starting to get a little bit of a rattle out of him. But that's okay. He's just saying, hey, I'm here. Don't step on me, don't mess with me, don't get too close. And now I'm just trying to get the tail part of the rattle without getting bit. It's a little stuck to the water dish here. So what I'm gonna do, spill a little water over that edge. I don't know if my tongs can handle that. Spill a little water off that edge there. Oh boy, Bojangles doesn't like this nonsense, and I'm trying to get that water to loosen the shed up so I can tear it off without tearing it. There we go. Oh, a little tear there. Agua's coming off. Shed is coming off of the agua with a little bit of agua. Spanish for water, in case there's anybody out there like, what the heck is agua? Alright, he's getting close. He might start coming over soon, so I'm just going to pull the whole bowl out of there and do this by hand. There we go. Place that down there. Close this so Bojangles doesn't hop out and I don't end up with a rattlesnake hat. Alright, so as you can see where that water's touched the shed, I can kind of just loosely start tapping it off without tearing the shed any more than I already have. There it goes. This is a great way that you can salvage the sheds that you find in your snake enclosures. Hopefully it's not a rattlesnake or anything crazy like that. But if you're ever trying to get snake shed out of an enclosure without ripping it, just put a little bit of agua on it and you'll be good to go. And here is that albino western diamondback shed. Here's the face of it. It's a little more crinkled up because I haven't cleaned this one up yet. There are both of Bojangles' eye caps. You can see how those two scales are much clearer, so that's the color of my finger behind them. And that is how snakes see without blinking. Check that out. Eyeballs, no eyeballs, eyeballs, no eyeballs. But that is the western diamondback shed, and now I will put it next to my boa constrictor's shed to do a side-by-side comparison. But on the right, you've got the western diamondback. You can see it is a complete shed. There's that faceplate again at a different angle. And both of the eyeballs, again, kind of hard to see until you get my finger behind it, and you can really see how much more translucent those two scales are that cover the eyes. And then right to the left of it, completely dwarfing the rattlesnake shed, is Cleo's shed. I haven't fully unwrapped it yet. If you're interested in seeing that, make sure you're subscribed and you hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any shorts, because I will probably be filleting both of these sheds in a YouTube short later this week so you can see what the inside of them looks like, because that is where they get most colorful. But what I wanted to talk about today is the rattlesnake shed, this guy right here, and that's because if you look at the tip of the rattlesnake's tail, there we go, it's getting focus. Alright, I didn't like the angle I was getting, so I paused it and stuck a pen in the back of the shed. So I didn't actually have to rip the shed in any way to do this, and that is what I was trying to show you, is that unlike Cleo's shed skin, this is the very tip of Cleo's tail, and it comes to that point, there's no way that I could shove a pen in there without ripping through it. But that is not the case for the rattlesnake shed here, because the rattlesnake shed has an exit that the rattle actually comes out of like that while the snake is shedding. And the really cool thing is, as Bojangles slides out of that old shed skin, it will reveal a new segment on the base of the rattle that had been forming essentially since the last time the rattlesnakes shed their skin. And that is how all rattlesnakes slowly grow their rattles over time. Now, where people run into trouble with this fun fact is they'll say, well, that's how you can tell how old the rattlesnake is. You count the number of segments, you know how many times they've shed, and you know how old they are. But unfortunately, there's no direct correlation between shedding and age, because rattlesnakes can shed a lot more than once a year. So in Bojangles' case here, he's got that button on the very tip of his rattle, which does let you know he is a younger snake. Usually those very tip pieces that come to a point like that break off over time and with age, but that lets you know he is very young. but he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 segments. And that would imply that he is 9 years old, which is not the case. He's only a few years old at this point. And right there at the base of the tail is the newest segment that skin would have been covering up until he shed it. And now that he has finished shedding the skin, right where that white band of scales starts, he will begin developing a new beaded segment. It'll start taking on that shape. Then as he gets bigger and gets closer to shedding, he will shed again and it will reveal the new segment. And you can almost think of each segment on the rattlesnake's rattle as a little receipt for each shedding process, and they hook into each other almost like chains that loosely fit together, and when they rattle and bump together, that is what creates the rattlesnake's characteristic rattling sound. But anyway, he's looking really good, but while I was laying those shed skins out, I ended up with a different rattlesnake problem right over here. It looks like Spot, my normal type Western Diamondback, noticed that everybody was getting some cage cleaning done today and he didn't want to miss the opportunity to poop and rub some of that poop on his glass. So now I've got to get Spot, my normal and much larger Western Diamondback, out of his enclosure into a bucket down here where I can safely contain him while cleaning his habitat out. So if venomous snake handling makes you nervous, this is going to be the time to click away because Spot is almost always in a pretty defensive mood, so he's one that I have to be careful with. But as you can see, he's made a bit of a mess. That's what I was talking about, where he rubbed his butt on the glass. Looks like he pooped. Those are ventral scales that you're seeing the impression of on the glass. And there's the poop he must have slid through. So he's probably a little gross too, so I'm gonna put a little bit of water in his bucket so he can take a bit of a bath while I clean his habitat. That way Spot can be fully cleaned as he goes back into his soon-to-be fully cleaned habitat. All right, so before getting him out, I'm gonna switch to my hands-free camera mount. So you guys are gonna be kind of just bobbing around on my chest here, but I'll give you a point of view of what is going on while I'm trying to handle a venomous snake this way. But anyway, I'll switch to that mode now and show you there's the bucket I'm gonna be putting Spot in. But because I can tell he pooped right there and then rubbed his belly through it and then rubbed his belly everywhere, that means he probably has some poop on him. So in interest of cleaning him up, I'm gonna pour just a little bit of water in there. That will give him a chance to rehydrate, hopefully before washing off some of that poopy water that he undoubtedly has on him. Just like with Bojangles, careful not to open anything with my hands. Getting lazy and using your hands for things you should be using tools for is one of the most common ways people get bitten by venomous snakes. And as always, I gotta say right now, I don't recommend anyone keep a rattlesnake as a pet snake. This is not an animal I think of as a pet. I think of him kind of like a rescue because he belonged to a very irresponsible reptile keeper that had him for a long time as a pet, then decided, you know what, I don't want it anymore, I'm just gonna turn it loose. And that is both bad for the animal because this rattlesnake has been out of the wild and might not necessarily know how to hunt successfully on his own anymore. And it's also really bad for wild populations because if that friend had reptile mites, if that friend had any other reptile pathogens, that can be a way of accidentally contaminating an entire wild population and causing real damage to the environment. So when I learned this friend was going to risk Spot's life by turning him loose and potentially risk the health of the ecosystem he wanted to release it in, I said, no, that's all right. I'll take him home and I'll take care of him. And I've been living with Spot ever since. He's starting to come out now. He's not particularly aggressive, but he is very defensive. He doesn't know I'm just trying to give him a bath. So I'm just trying to move slowly, calmly, and carefully with him. That way he calms down. There we go. He's not rattling anymore, even though the hook is under him. And now I'm gonna slowly pull him out, stop him from going back there. Now I'm grabbing him. He's nervous, but he's not trying to bite me. He's just pulling away. He doesn't know what's happening. Bring him out. Whoop, there we are. Try to give the camera an up close shot. Oh, I think he got spooked by his own reflection. Am I giving him your good side, Spot? All right. And now I'm not gonna abuse his patience, but I am gonna just slowly bring him down. I was gonna try to plop him in the bucket, but he started turning around on me. And I didn't want to risk him smacking his tail and breaking that beautiful rattle of his, so I let him on the ground first. I do have tongs just in case he ever doesn't go with just the hook. All right, don't pull on those tongs. They're gonna fall if you do that. Let's try this again. Here's your bath. We're gonna go right inside. There you go, buddy. Now I let go because there's his head coming up. Oh, you gotta stay in there for just a few minutes. You're gonna go back to a cleaned enclosure. You can see some wood chips look like are already falling off his belly, so he needs this bath. All right, third time's a charm. Here we go. There he goes. And now the funny thing about rattlesnakes, again, they're not the monsters everybody makes them out to be. They're really shy about things touching their nose. So as he came up, I just gave him a little tap. He's like, hey, stop that. And then he went back down to the bottom. And as you can see, he is slowly realizing the bucket isn't lava. We might even see him start to sip some of that water in a second. But he's looking pretty content down there now, so I'll get a lid on this so I don't need to keep an eye on him the whole time. Now I will do some quick cleaning in his enclosure and get him back in. All right, so first things first, I'm gonna get that water dish out so I can rinse it and put it back in fully clean. I'm just gonna get that poop off there and I'll wash this rock off separately. This is also a potential time to find fangs, so it's gross, but I like to take a peek at the poop just to see that I'm not missing anything cool. Nothing cool, just gross today. I'm just scrubbing down where it looks like he wiped his booty on his way out of his enclosure. Whenever you're spraying cleaner around your pet's enclosures, I recommend you don't spray it inside the enclosure. You don't want to aerosolize it where your pet's going to be living and breathing. But if you spray it somewhere away from the enclosure outside of it, there's not really as much of a risk. You still want to give the enclosure a little bit of time to air out. That way you're not just putting your snake right back into something that has a lot of fumes in it. But as long as you're not spraying the Windex or whatever cleaner you're using in the space, it should air out fairly quickly. Opening that up, and it looks like there is a little bit more poop back here, so I'll put the gold pan down for a moment. All right, that's looking pretty good. So now I'll get the water dish back in there. Kind of bury it a little bit or seat it down inside of the bedding so it looks more like part of the landscape. Top off the water. Moisten down the bedding just a little bit for him. All right, so just like that, I've got you guys back inside the camera mount, so I'll switch back to this view and we will get Spot out of the tub here and back into his freshly cleaned enclosure. Opening this up. Oh, we got a little rattle. Let's see what his mood is like after a relaxing bath. So I'm just gonna put the hook under him. Looks like he's already trying to get off of it, so as he comes off, I'm gonna grab his tail, see where his face is. A little too close for my comfort, so here we go, off and over the hook. There we go, using the hook to redirect the head, show him the way, and that is how you send a rattlesnake home. And there he goes, right back to behind his gold pan where he feels like he's a little bit safer. He's got some cover. He kind of gets to be a turtle or a tortoise, just sticking his head out, and he can retreat back in if things get scary like that. And he is set and cared for the day. And during the time it took to get Spot's enclosure cleaned, he's still back there. You can kind of hear him rattling. I don't know if you can, I can hear in person. Hopefully you hear a little bit of that. But during that time, my Tegu, looks like she made pretty quick work of most of her food. I'll take that out so she doesn't make a mess with it. Anyway, that's it for my reptile keeping today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did and want to see more of what goes into keeping a collection like this and just keep learning about reptiles every day, make sure to hit the like button because it really helps me out and helps keep me going. And don't miss out on hitting the subscribe button because I post reptile videos every single day with the goal of sharing my love and knowledge of reptiles. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And if this channel and my work here really means a lot to you and you want to go above and beyond in helping keep this channel going, I do have a Patreon now where you can sign up and join this list of amazing folks that are keeping this channel going. And you too can get credited just like this at the end of all my full videos. And if you sign up for the Helpful Herpers or Head Herpers tier, you will also get exclusive voting rights to help me choose one Patreon video topic per month. And if anybody's curious what the patrons chose for October for the video topic, I'm going to be making a video this month, thanks to my patrons, all about the scariest venoms out there. So if that sounds interesting, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss it. If you want to have control over what next month's Patreon chosen video is going to end up being, you can sign up in the link in the description to support me on Patreon.
And on that note, I would like to formally thank and shout out my head herpers, Amanda Lynn, Bobby Cromer, Deborah Torgerson, Lavenders, and Lindsay Justice for supporting these reptile videos at the highest possible tier. Your support means the world to me, and there's no way I could do this without you, so thanks.
And with that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, night, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this. I hope all of your snakes have successful sheds, but most of all, I hope that you guys just keep herping.